Next on the agenda would be the bylaws, which we all received a copy of the proposed bylaw changes, I think via email, if I recall. And the revisions were highlighted. And that would be a voting item if we want to make changes to the bylaws that's proposed.
You want me to accept the new bylaws as written?
Second.
We have a first, we have a second, and a discussion.
What was the reasoning for changes to the bylaws?
Well, they haven't been changed for a long time, and some changes. The primary change was that board members shouldn't have any ties with the city. It doesn't mean the present board members, it means any people coming on the board in the future.
We've discussed this. I think we're going to discuss it briefly too. In theory, that sounds really nice. In practicality, I think it's a bad policy change. This is a small town. What you're talking about is no network to the school system, the park board, the electric company, the gas company, the water company, anybody does any kind of
No,
business.
it means anybody with a tie with receiving community grants, contracts, nepotism, that kind of. It doesn't mean somebody that works for a gas company or water company.
Well, we have enough checks and balances in our system that I don't see the need for change. Person, it's picked by the mayor, proposed to be picked by the mayor, has to pass through muster with council. If you have someone, I'm assuming you're meaning you're going to get someone on, you're afraid of getting someone on the board who's going to use a personal agenda for personal gain, but he only has one vote on the board. If he gets past the mayor or the school system, and if it's a mayor's pick, it's past the council and gets on the board, he still has four people voting against him if they feel that he is doing something. I just think there's enough checks and balances that we should not eliminate our talent pool of possible board members when we need a board member. That would not be a big potential change. I don't know how the rest of people.
Any other discussion? No, any other discussion? Esther?
Did I understand you to say nonprofits, Mo?
Yes,
Well, see, then I would be, and I've been on board a number of years, and I am a nonprofit.
well, and you're not necessarily nonprofits, but you get your funding through CDBG money, which is a tie with the city.
Yeah.
That's what I was referring to. In my opinion, that's leverage that the city could use to have you vote a certain way if they wanted to. Threaten to cut off your funding. I just don't think that should be the case on a board of this type. Should be an autonomous board.
Well, I disagree with that because I've been on the board along for a number of years, and I have a mind of my own to know what's right or wrong, and
I agree.
towards my feelings. So that shouldn't have anything to do with it.
I did question Mo about a couple proposed changes simply because when these were discussed, I was not at this particular meeting. Esther, with that, I did have the same concerns you did from the standpoint of receiving CDBG money as well as other business ventures involving the city. Current board members were grandfathered into that. It would happen with new appointments. Is that correct, Mo?
Yes.
Because I think you guys discussed this last year.
We did twice.
That's what I thought.
We wanted to change that.
other discussion?
Just for a matter of clarification, are we talking about, was it dated 8/13/2012, that draft?
Yes. It is the Massillon Recreation Board Constitution and Bylaws dated 8/13/2012.
These are going to change to the meeting.
Yes, that's the copy that was emailed to everyone. I think the other thing that it proposed in here is the opportunity to make changes to the board meeting as far as if we wanted to change the time or change the day. Right now, it stands that we can only change it on a yearly basis in January. And I think we changed that it could be done at any time as deemed necessary. Yeah, okay. Any other discussion, questions?
Yeah, I make a comment. Regarding the board and the placement of the people. I think that the citizens have a perception. And when they look at the board and they see who's on the board, and the perception is that perhaps certain people would vote certain ways because of their ties to either the city or the school board. And when you're dealing with tax money and you're dealing with the citizens, I think that this is probably a good idea to clean that up a little bit. Just because you're dealing with the taxpayers are paying for the Parks and Rec department. And so you really have to answer to the citizens. And this has been something that's been brought up. Whether it's true or not, it's just a perception. Perception is reality.
Do you think this should apply to city council members?
Excuse me?
Do you think this should apply to city council members?
City council members are
They're
elected
voted
by
on.
the people. They're appointed.
We're picked by voted on personnel also.
Yeah, but we're not voted in.
You're not voted in. You're not elected.
I
know
don't.
we can't run for office if we're a city employee or things like that.
The revised code calls for so many mayor appointments and so many
Right.
school board
Right.
appointments, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. If that person that is appointed by those boards happens to be, or by the school board, or by the mayor happens to be receiving monies in some sort, it's separate from here. I don't think that there's any indication of any improprieties. I don't think there ever would be. When?
Well, I mean,
I mean,
We need to get out of the community, Johnson. People are saying.
if you do it this way, you won't have any problems.
but you're limiting it. I agree with you.
I don't know how you can eliminate
You're
First
limiting
Energy.
the
First Energy's not receiving money from the city. We're paying money into First Energy.
Well, that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're eliminating people.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Quality.
I mean, you're telling me you couldn't pick somebody because they work for First Energy? I
No,
don't know
that
that.
has nothing to do with it.
Does First Energy do business with the city?
They do business with the city, they do business with the state, they do business all across the country.
Right.
The rates are set, it has nothing to do with that
Yeah.
person being on the board.
Yeah.
First Energy's rate.
But you are limiting yourselves. You could have a very quality person coming from the school board area, that has extensive knowledge, management knowledge in that. And because that person may be a business person in the community that is doing business with the school board, he's not going to be able to sit on your board.
What kind of business is he doing with the school?
Well, I don't know, maybe he sells the schools the computers. And he could help, he could be an extensive member of this board in helping to upgrade systems here. As long as he's not doing business with you folks while he's on this board, there would be the issue. If he's doing business with Parks and Recs while he's on this board, yeah, then you would have an issue.
I just don't read it that way in the bylaws, I don't.
Board members at the time of their appointment or during their term cannot be personally involved or be a partner in any business ventures involving financial transactions with the Massillon City Government or Massillon School Board entities. Board members at the time of their appointment or during their term cannot be receiving directly or indirectly any stipends, grants, or other types of financial compensation from any Massillon City Government or Massillon School Board entities.
I mean, Esther goes through checks and balances to get those CDBG funds, or the government would not give them to her. And I realize you're saying it's not going to apply to current board members, but it would apply to your next one. That's a checks and balance system. So Mr. Hurricane's not going to release those funds if there's an indication there that they shouldn't go out. It has nothing to do with a person of Esther receiving CDBG and sitting on this board. There's no tie there, so there's no reason to have that type of statement in your bylaws. This lady is a taxpayer the same as the next person.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Brickett,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yes.
Bryant,
Okay, I'm a little confused here. Are we voting on what you're saying?
Yeah, you're voting to change the,
Bylaws.
To say that,
someone like you could not
well, no, I have to vote no.
Wolf,
be. No.
Del Rio Keller.
Yes. Motion passes